Hey guys, Chris here from East Coast Classics. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for being here and checking in. I'm so glad to be able to give you an update on what's going on in my garage, in the driveway, and the two new purchases that I've made over the past couple months. I wanted to give a big thank you to each of you guys who've reached out over the past few months of my little hiatus, my little break from YouTube, from social media, to inquire, to check in, to make sure things are fine with me. And the short answer is, yeah, everything is great here. I just needed to step away a little bit from social media, from YouTube, and just refocus on my family, refocus on the things going on here with home and health and life and everything else. But I'm back, and I'm excited to give you guys an update on what's going on, what's new here. And really, before we get there, I just, again, wanted to give a thank you to each of you guys who reached out. I mean, that's what social media is about. I mean, that's the value and that's the benefit I get out of all this, is some of the relationships and sharing and caring and showing some love at the same time. So, thank you. All right, enough of that. Let's get going. Come on. First thing I wanted to share with you is this guy. I don't even remember now, 99, 2000, 2001 Jaguar XJ8. There's a bit of a story that goes with this. There was an auction in Woodbridge, New Jersey, a police auction. They had 70 or so cars and trucks that they were auctioning off, sight unseen. That was the rule of the auction. You weren't allowed to go to the auction lot. You weren't allowed to do anything other than do a VIN search and take a look at the dozen or so photos that they had. And this was probably one of 10 vehicles that weren't smashed up. Now, these were confiscated cars. These were cars that were police chased and crashed and smashed, or left abandoned or discarded or pulled out of the river, or whatever the case was. This is one of them. And all you could do was, again, look at the photos. And, you know, a bit of sleuthing, right? You have to do that when you go to these auctions. I put a lot of time and effort into this one. I paid $725 for this car. $725. Has 138,000 miles on it, and it had a really good Carfax. There's a whole story that goes along with this car that I'm going to save for a future video. I'm going to make a dedicated video to this car. But the Cliff Notes version is, the engine's locked up, it's a mess, the brake pedal goes through the floor, there's nothing good of value with this car. Utter turd. And, you know, I bid up to $725 for a reason, for a purpose, thinking that I could scrap it, I could sell it, I could part it out, I could get my money back, because you just don't know if it was going to start. Or you had no expectations. I mean, it was at the very bottom of the barrel in terms of what I would expect with this car. So I bid up to $725. That was my max. I was hoping it would stay at the $330, which is where it started at, but that didn't happen. Let me show you inside of it. I'll give you a sneak peek. This is the mess that the car came with. I think it was lived in at one point. I mean, it is utter disaster in here. However, look how nice the paint is. Shines and cleans. I put some tire clean on there just to see if it would clean up and see why it was discolored. I think maybe this is why the brake pedal goes down to the floor. I think maybe the caliper is leaking, or the hose. But otherwise, it's clean, man. It really is. And this is what I looked at on these photos. I mean, they give you a bunch of potato photos, the lousiest photos you've ever seen in your life. That's all you get to do. That's all you get to look at when you see these things online. Oh, it's missing the cat. That's a shame. Got the one cool windshield wiper, pretty awesome. And, oh yeah, Wolverine was here, look. There's more to do and talk about with this, but I'm going to have to save that for another video. This was supposed to be a fun car that I got for a little bit of money. There's not a lot of value in it, really. It's $1,500 to $2,000 or so, even if it was running good and driving good brakes, good engine, and all that stuff. Not a lot of value. I got a few options. I'm deciding what to do with it, and we'll talk more about that on a dedicated video on this. My 4Runner, love this thing, man. I bought this thing brand new October 30th, 2003. Right? It's been 17, 18 years now. On my son's first birthday, frankly. Always treated me good. I ended up taking this thing to a paintless dent repair guy, and there was a big crease right here. In fact, you can still see the marks from, I did that. I banged into it with a car door, opened my car door, and the car drifted back. It was the Greenbrier, actually. Being a manual, just drifted back with the car door open and put a big crease right here in it. Paintless dent guy took that right out, and I'm waiting until the weather warms up some so I can do some touch-up paint on that. Same thing with the back here. Paintless dent guy. A dent guy took this out. It was a big crease about this size right here. Only thing that's left is paint blemish. Really impressed. $275, and he took that out. He did a fantastic job with it. He didn't want me to video it. I tried to. He wouldn't let me because he said he couldn't make it 100% perfect. He didn't want it out there on YouTube. My wife's car, Camry. We bought this new in 2009. We bought this purposely. I mean, the color and everything, the options, all of it. It was all very purposeful. And I looked for weeks for this specific car. Went through all kinds of different dealers' inventories and dealer lots and online searches. At the time when we bought this, my wife was driving 80 miles a day. And so I had some parameters. I wanted the very best car I could get for under $20,000 that got 30 miles per gallon or better. And this is what we came up with. And this car has been fantastic. Now, there's a dark side to this car. And I'm going to share that with you. Look, I mean, it's clean. You can see it. That's the secret to the car, the manual. It's below the LE. LE on these is the low level. This is below that. This is less than the LE. This is the base model. It doesn't even get like an identifier down here. You know where they put the XLE or whatever, SE Sport, whatever model it is. Doesn't even have that. The purpose of this car and the stripped down version of it was simple as that. I wanted something to last, that's going to run forever and it's going to last forever. And this car has done that. This thing is 12 years old, 167,000 miles on it or so. Only one repair ever done to this car in the whole time we've owned it. I mean, yeah, I've done the maintenance. I did the brakes, the calipers, hoses, serpentine, all that stuff. But one repair other than basic maintenance, and that was the starter. The starter went out about a month ago on it. Otherwise, the thing has been unbelievable, except for one problem. The engine, oil, burns oil like crazy. And apparently it's a problem with 2.5 liters in 2009 Camrys. I'm putting in, at this point, 2 quarts every week. Every 400 miles, we gas up every weekend on this car. 400 miles to a tank of gas, I have to put in 2 quarts of oil just to keep it going. And so I'm at the point now where I'm debating, do I find a junkyard engine? Do I swap it in? Do I just keep putting 2 quarts of oil in for another, I don't know, year or 2 or 3, as long as it will last for? Do I give it to my son? Do I make it a first car for my daughter, who's going to be 16 next year? A lot of choices to do with this car. However, this thing has been an awesome, awesome car. That deserves a video on its own. Mercedes, take a look at this. Got a license plate now. There's a whole story that goes with this. And again, it deserves its own video because there's so much going on, from the cost of insurance, which went from $1,500 with Geico all the way down to $500 when I switched it over to Hagerty. Adding catalytic converters to this car cost $1,150, and I lost some volume, some of that great melody that came out of that exhaust pipe. Oh, in fact, let me show you how it sounds now. Hold on a second. Still sounds great, doesn't it? But it's lost some volume in the meantime. I also lost about 40 horsepower, and I think the car feels a little slower because of that, but frankly, between 700 and 740 horsepower, I don't know if I could tell the difference. But mid-range, mid-RPM or so, it feels just a smidge sluggish, but really, you just give it a little squeeze of the throttle and whoosh, off it goes. I mean, you can't tell. There's a story behind getting that license plate, and I want to share that with you, but that's going to be another video. You see, there's all kinds of options that I ran into in terms of getting this plate. See, I went back to the DMV and I figured I'll just keep getting these paper temporary tags for 20 bucks. Gives me 30 days of driving time. I went back twice, got 2 different plates, paper plates, and on the 3rd time they're like, look, enough is enough. You got to step up. And so I had to pay the $1,150 for the catalytic converters, $1,000 to register the car. But there were some options. There's a bunch of states. Montana, for instance, where you could go and get these cars registered and you get a Montana license plate and you avoid the taxation issues. There's other states too, like Florida as well, but there's a hidden secret, and it's South Dakota, and they have a special thing going on where they almost somewhat encourage non-residents to register their car in South Dakota. I spent a ton of research, a ton of time and effort understanding the rules, But ultimately, I decided just to pay the state of Delaware, pay for the catalytic converters, get a Delaware plate, pay the state tax in Delaware. That's the biggest issue here. But all this deserves its own video, and we're going to talk about that coming up soon. Oh, check this out. Oh, right here. Look at that. Can you see that? Thank you, Silver Nissan Rogue. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, also, down here in the nook, $300. I picked up a Volvo. My second Volvo. I had a 940 Turbo that I gave to my dad, and I picked up this guy. 250,000 miles on it, 247,000 miles, something like that, something outrageous. $300, original owner. The guy was just like, he was just tired of it and ready to move on to something else. I got a folder in the front seat. Hold on a second. Here's the best part. When I picked up this car, actually, he drove it over here, dropped it off for me. He gave me this. A folder of every single thing ever done to this car. It's impressive, really. It's surprising. Let me flip the camera around. Inside, I mean, it's exactly what you expect from a late 90s Volvo, mid 90s. I don't even know what year it is, 95, 96, I'm not sure. So we got a tachometer that sort of works. We got 250,000 miles on it. Oh, the speedometer works, which is surprising. What doesn't work on this thing? Steering. You hear that? It does not like to turn. We have to figure that one out. But otherwise, I figure for $300, can't go wrong with this. These things last forever, run forever, and it's obvious already, isn't it? You can see the color on the door is just a little different, so I suspect it's been repainted at one point. But otherwise, good tires, a new battery. Oh yeah, look at this guy. Woo. And I'm debating what to do with it. You know, do I get the steering fixed and drive and enjoy for a while? Because I really like these cars, I really do. But it's not worth anything. Or do I make it a giveaway in the spring after getting the steering fixed? Or do I just dump it now and get my $300 back? Next, the Tahoe, this guy. This thing has been sitting around here for 3 months. I haven't driven this thing since mid-October, so we're up to 3 months now, and it's got to go. It's time for it to go. I haven't done anything with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It still looks good, still drives good. I just much prefer the 4Runner, and that's where I've been spending all my time. Check it out. Golly, starts right up. Sounds good, looks pretty good. Some little blemishes up here still. Nothing new to report on here. I mean, it's just a good, durable, and easy and simple. But frankly, I'm ready to move on, pick up something else. And maybe I need to drive it today. Since I started it, I got that cold start going. So other than that, there's one last thing I wanted to share and give you an update on. And that is my neighbors. I got new neighbors over here, right? This house has been for sale for, I don't know, 6 months or so. A survey crew came out here, and I am right now about 3 feet off my driveway right here. My driveway's right here. So I'm right at the property line where the surveyors marked. They put a stake in the ground. And if you look straight back from here, that little nook that I call back here that I put the Tahoe and the Volvo in and the trailer, if I draw a straight line, that's not on my property. So that's another reason why that Tahoe, that's got to go. I got to figure out where the property line is, if that's mine. I want to be a good neighbor, obviously, but I also want to start talking about and thinking about building a garage over here where the trampoline is. Get rid of the shed, put a 3-car garage, 2 cars deep. I got plenty of space. I've got 30 feet wide. That's how wide the driveway is right now. I've got 50 feet deep until I hit the retaining wall and my property line. And I think that might be the future. That might be the next step, at least for what I have going on here. All right, enough of all that. Oh, Greenbrier. Corvair Greenbrier. This thing has been in the family for 10 years now. Bought this from a gentleman up in upstate New York near Niagara Falls. I've been driving this thing more over the past few weeks than I have probably in the past 6 months. Durable, dependable, reliable, been fantastic. That's going to stick around for a little while longer. All right, enough of all that. I'm done. We're out of here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you appreciated the update. I'm going to do that one next. The Volvo soon. The Tahoe's got to go. Got to figure out what to do with the Camry. Need some answers with that. Got a whole story to give on the Mercedes. And as always, I'll catch you on the next video.